Try to play some music to welcome everyone to the Stigma-Free Society Facebook Live and YouTube Live event. This is a broadcast of the Stigma-Free Society. I'm Dr. Daniel Toe from the Surrey School District, speaking on behalf of the district and the Stigma-Free Society. Don't forget to visit the Stigma-Free Society Facebook page or their website to check out their COVID-19 toolkit, also their mental health toolkit, their stigma-free toolkit. There's toolkits for teachers, parents, students. So please check out their toolkit when you check out their site. Today, I also want to welcome anybody who's viewing. We see one viewer here, which is awesome. And as you know, as you can see here, I have a very special guest again, Vanessa Chu from VanessaChu.com. Let me just show you her contact information because I have not done that yet because I was too busy talking to her about life. And such is the world of broadcasting live that sometimes you're just like, I forgot to do that. And so this is Vanessa's information. You'll notice that she has a new coaching webpage as well. And we're going to be talking about today breaking negative thought patterns, silencing one's inner critic, moving through life with confidence, which are all topics on her podcast, which I love listening to. As one of our great friends, Danielle Law, has said, Professor Dr. Danielle Law has said that they're not too long. You're not going to sit there and listen for hours and hours on end, but there's short snippets of great, helpful information to help you. Anybody really walk through life with more confidence and with more inner power and inner strength. And Vanessa does a great job with that. But Vanessa, first, welcome. Thank you for doing this again. I did call you last minute because, I just struggled to find someone great. And when I thought back to what you said before and the podcast you did, not the podcast, sorry, the video broadcast you did with us before, I thought, it'd be great to have her on again, especially as we head into the new year and spring and all this newness. But you are launching a coaching webpage, which is really in line with what you're doing in your podcast and things like that. So can you just tell us more about that? I'm just going to take off this page for a bit, and then I'm going to show your website as you speak, all right?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on again. I really appreciate it. I have to say, for my podcast episodes, they're short now, but they might be getting a little bit longer later as
totally
I get into more research on the topics I love studying and reading up upon. So my coaching page is up and it's live, and it's basically an opportunity to ask me questions anonymously. So I'm calling it my audio coaching. So it's centered around, improving mental health. You can ask me questions on grief management, confidence, anything we're going to talk about today. And basically, I'm going to send you a customized response from me. So it'll be, it's not live, but I'll be, pre-recording like a personalized response based on the question you send me. And everything's there on my site.
This is a great page. And actually in your podcast, you talk about just and we maybe could start with this about using a new product that I actually haven't heard of to build this page, and how you had, it was frustrating. I've built a web page. It is frustrating because sometimes things don't work. And maybe talk about that as we start the conversation about getting through, as people are going through spring and we're going through, COVID, the curve seems to be flattening out in BC, and people are starting to restart their lives, having been basically locked in for an entire year. Starting something new, restarting one's life can be very, very stressful. And you sort of did that. You're starting a new venture. You had to build a web page. And I love the story about how you built that web. Tell me about, talk about building this web page, starting coaching, and sort of maybe leak into some of the thoughts about, some of the negativity that you had, and then how you overcame some of those things.
Yeah, so I actually never thought that I would get into coaching. It wasn't until I started working with my business coach last August where, I've just been learning a crap ton from her, and just awesome things about, mindset and confidence and, self-esteem and everything. Just everything plays into my journey as an entrepreneur and starting off as a coach. And I think before I started with her, I was very, my self-esteem was very low. My self-confidence is really low. There were a lot of negative statements floating around my head, like, and I was comparing myself a lot to other people. And I know we had talked about this in our other sessions together, but yeah, just like looking at what everybody else was doing, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I felt like I was failing in life
Really?
in general. And yeah, I was like really hard on myself, and just really just negative statements. And then I think I didn't realize that those negative beliefs about myself, just they stuck around, and then I started to believe those things about me, like I'm not doing anything important, I'm not contributing in any way, I'm not growing. Like, I just felt really blah, and I didn't know, what my purpose and what I really wanted to do in life. So as soon as I started working with my business coach, we started off with a lot of mindset work. And I also started reading this book called Ultimate Confidence, and it's amazing. And yeah, I talk about that in my podcast too, but it made me realize, the kinds of phrases and words and the language I was using to talk to myself, which is huge, because I think we can all agree that we're all our own worst critics, right? Like, we're the hardest on ourselves.
Yes.
And when something doesn't, go the way we think it will, it's just like, oh, well, I'm a failure, I'm a disappointment, like, I'm just like screwing up all the time. And obviously those types of thoughts and phrases and statements don't help with confidence at all, right? So
why did you feel that way, though? I'm curious. We talked about this a little last time, but didn't really dive into it. What, at your age? So how old am I? I'm 45 years old. So you're 10 years-ish younger than me. I know that because we grew up together. But what is it that made you just have that sort of cloud of negativity fall on you prior to you getting out of it? Like that, what you just talked about, what made you feel that way? Like, just compare yourself. What am I doing with my life? Where am I going? Why can't I be there? Like, what made you feel that way?
I think a lot of it was my external environment. And a lot of it is probably upbringing as well. Just seeing, being, growing up in a church, a lot of people get married within the church and then have kids and have a family, and like their jobs seem to be really successful. Like, they sort of followed, like, they had a really nice roadmap. And I felt like I don't fit in, and I don't, I didn't feel like I was being true to myself by following that roadmap. So, yeah, again, it was just a lot of mindset work and telling myself, I'm me, and I'm not anybody. There's nobody else like me on this earth, and there's nobody else who's going to have my journey, right? Like, I have a say in my journey and what my purpose is going to be and how I'm going to fulfill it. And it's not going to look like anybody else's. And I think as soon as I realized that, and I told myself that more, and also stopped comparing myself to other people, but started comparing myself to a younger version of me. Like, even a version of me from yesterday, or a version of me from like 7 days ago, or from a month ago, is vastly different. And I know I've grown so much in terms of my mindset and where my business is and just everything. So it is really a lot to do with, how you talk to yourself and the language you use, and are you putting yourself down? And why are you putting yourself down?
Okay. Well, let's go back to the story now. Now you've decided to do coaching. You've talked to your business coach. You're building this site. You've done all these great things. So how did you overcome those negative thoughts? How did you silence your own inner critic, which was criticizing you over and over and over again, right, as you described?
So the first thing that I think is really important, that I didn't know before, but it sounds really easy, is just be aware of those thoughts and those things that you're telling yourself and the language you're using. Like I mentioned before, like so many of the things that I was telling myself, which is all negative, and like, I can't, statements, like I can't do that, and or I'm not good enough, you know. And again, it's sometimes external circumstances, like I lose a job. Well, I'm not good enough, right, to have had that job for longer, or you know, this guy broke up with me. I'm not good enough, or that person doesn't want to hang out with me. I'm not good enough, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like just stuff that happens in life, and that doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It's just stuff that happens. And yeah, so the first thing I would say is definitely be aware of those negative thoughts, and as soon as you have those thoughts, question them. Like, are those things even true? You know, I think about what my friends and family and my coworkers would say about me. Would they say all those negative things about me? Probably not. Like, they're probably, you know, not gonna, you know, say all this negative stuff that I'm saying to myself in my own head. So I think as soon as you start questioning those negative beliefs about yourself, you start doubting if they're true. Yeah.
And I remember you told a story in one of your podcasts. I think it was episode 17. See, I'm listening about you baking cookies, and you're baking these chocolate chip cookies, and you mixed rice in with the white chocolate chips, and then you baked them and you gave them to your friends anyways. Like what did like you spoke about what your friends said. Like, you gave them these not perfect cookies. What did they say, and how did that affirm your belief in yourself?
Yeah. So it's just that story of I'm an avid baker, and I feel like I'm a really good baker. So when I give my baked goods away as gifts, like, you want them to be presentable, and
I've had your baking. It is delicious. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and you want them, you know, to be perfect, although, you know, there's no such thing as perfect. But yeah, I made a little mistake in the decorating, and I was really upset. I was really mad at myself, and I didn't know whether, you know, to chuck them or throw them out or whatever, start all over. And I was just mad. And but I texted my friends before I actually delivered them, and I told them what happened. And I knew that they were gonna find the story funny. Like, I knew that they're gonna laugh, and they were like, "Whatever, it's fine. Like, your baking is always really tasty, and who cares how it looks? And they're probably gonna be really good anyway." And and they totally said it was fine, and they tasted good, and they didn't run into, you know, nothing that was inedible on the cookies. And it was just nice to hear that from them. But again, it's you know, I do want to mention that if your own beliefs about yourself are negative, and that you're not good enough, and that you're never going to be good enough, those are the things that you're going to believe, no matter what anybody else tells you. It's not going to matter what your parents tell you, or what your friends tell you, or what your partner tells you, or what your closest, you know, siblings or friends tell you. If you don't believe those things about you, like all those good things they're telling you about you, then it doesn't matter. Like, you got to start with your own thoughts and the language you're using to talk to yourself.
Yeah, and that talks, like, you speak about in, I think, 2 podcasts about silencing your inner critic and being positive with yourself. So when you did that, like, what steps did you take to that? You talk about reading this book, and I know that I'm repeating some of the things in your podcast, but really I'm trying to encourage people to listen to your podcast because I quite enjoy it. You know, you talk about this book, you talk about a business coach, you talk about having a therapist. You're quite honest and open about those things. How are those things and other external factors helping you build yourself up? Because it's not just you doing it yourself, is it?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to have someone keep you accountable. And yeah, it's just been an amazing journey so far with my business coach, because I see where I could be and what I'm working towards now. And it's like she knows, because she's been where I've been, right? So she knows all the negative self-talk, and you know, all the language and the awful things that you say to yourself when you think you're not good enough, or you can't do a certain thing, and you're never going to amount to anything. Like, she was there, and so she knows when I'm being down on myself, and she calls me out for it. Like, she she knows like right away. Even before I say it, like when I'm thinking it, she knows. So it's been really good to have a mentor and a coach to guide me and support me in that way, but also to be real with me as well, because I think just having an accountability partner is super important. And being aware of the language you're using was also a really big thing for me in telling myself to shut up when I'm being too harsh on myself. And also I really love the idea, and also because it works, visualizing yourself being successful. And I'm not only saying like making a lot of money, like visualize yourself kicking ass, as I like to put it. If you're gonna focus on all the negative stuff and talk to yourself negatively, you're gonna believe that stuff, and then those thoughts are going to affect your actions, and it's going to affect your behavior. And you're probably not going to be really pleasant to be around, because it's just like you're just full of negativity, right? So visualizing is something that I'm always working on, like every day, and visualizing outcomes that you want. Like don't visualize yourself failing.
That's right.
Your mind's gonna hang on to that image of you failing, and then you're probably gonna make it a reality, and that's what you don't want, right?
Well, that's the anxiety, right? People visualizing that. I think you know me a bit, and I think I present myself as someone who has quite a bit of confidence. But one thing that I love this also from your podcast, that you said that architects or builders don't like just start building stuff, but they see the picture first in their mind, and then they start planning out the steps to get to that building. My son does that with his Lego as well. Like he doesn't just like, oh, I'm just gonna build a random thing. He looks at Lego books, he looks at what he likes, and then he starts visualizing what he's gonna build. And sometimes it looks just like the picture, and sometimes it doesn't. He's 5, and that's the way it should be. But you talk about that visualization, that reaching for attainable goals, but having that dream or that ultimate goal at the end and taking the steps to get there. Maybe speak more about that and how that helps you move through life with confidence.
Yeah, so I like that story about your son, because I think what you said about sometimes it looks exactly like the picture he's following, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. And that's another thing that I'm learning along the way, and setting my goals and having those things work in line with what I feel like my purpose is. And the only way to not be scared of something new is to work through it and actually do it. So you're not scared of it anymore, right? And I'm still very scared and nervous about my coaching business, right? I'm going to be 100% honest.
Why?
But
why? Curious. Why? You see, it looks awesome. I'm looking at the page right now beside me. It looks great.
Well, a lot of it too is that the voice inside my head, right? Like it's just that inner voice, like, oh, I don't know, like there are other people who have like degrees and they're certified, and it's just but I really feel called, I guess, in some way to coach people through mental health issues, and especially focusing on grief, because I have been through grief so many times. But it's setting those goals and having that plan and visualizing where I want to be. And if I want to tweak things along the way, and like your son, if it doesn't happen, the end product or the journey isn't exactly how I thought it would be, then you just pivot, right? You learn to pivot, you learn to expand more of your knowledge in different areas that may take you down a different path. And I think that's totally okay. I mean, more wisdom and knowledge, I don't think is a bad thing, but also making sure that you're applying it in useful ways.
Well, and being okay with mistakes, right? I think that sometimes we're so afraid of making mistakes, it paralyzes us from doing anything new. I remember my daughter, and I'm using my kids because who else can you use really? As an example, she used to be so afraid of making a mistake. And then most recently, she's learned to accept them and grow from them. So she came in one day and she goes, "Oh, I had a multiplication quiz." And I'm like, "Oh, Maddie, how'd you do?" She goes, 50%. And I'm like, "Huh, 50%? That's an Asian, like, complete fail, right? What, 50%? That's like 1 mark away from failing." But she's like, "It's okay. I'll do better next time," because she has trouble with math. She's great at reading, great at writing, great at building, great at storytelling, great at athletics, not as strong as math. But she then she's like, "I'll do better next time." I was like, "Oh wow," I was actually impressed by that. And then the next time she had a quiz like 2 days ago, I'm like, "How'd you do?" She goes, 76. I'm like, "Oh, that's way better than 50." And she was so happy.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not 100. It's not, and again, as a parent, I'm like, "Oh, that's not 100. You could do better." Right. But as a dad, so as a parent, I see academic parent, but as a dad, I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. You're proud of what you've done, and you're proud of doing better. Now, next time, do better." And she goes, "Next time, I'm going to get higher. I'm going to do better." So she's no longer afraid to make those mistakes. And I think that, we're also so afraid of being a failure that we don't even dream of success because we're going to fail along the way. And we worry about that. Don't you feel like, I mean, you've had improv. That's the ultimate, like, "Oh, do people like me?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And right, or being on the radio, like no one can tell you, like you can't shut it off, you can't just stop. And maybe talk about how you seem like such a person with confidence. How do you walk through life silencing those voices, so that you're not personally affected? Like, how are you the person you are today, having all those things always attack you?
So I love that story about Maddie. Because I totally I can relate to that, because I was never good at math either, and I'm still not good at math and whatever.
Neither am I. I can't even help it. Like, ooh, 76. That's higher than I would ever get.
Yeah. Same. So I think it's realizing that we are all human, and we are gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna mess up, and like your daughter, and her math tests, just aiming to improve the next time is all we can do, right?
Yeah.
And I think, getting on stage to do improv and doing my radio show that's live, so I can't take any of those things back, right? Like whatever is up there on stage or on the air live is gonna be up there, right? So to stop me from focusing on, my, negative self-talk or what anybody else says, like, because you start to think like, "Oh, are people going to be entertained? Like, do you think I'm funny?" So I start to think less about that. And it's more of, okay, I'm going to bring my best from where I'm at now in the present, to my radio show for this shift, or to the stage for my improv scene or whatever. And it's not about how other people are reacting to what I'm putting out there, because then I would be relying on stuff that I can't control, right? I can't control how anybody else is going to react to anything I put out there. But it's knowing that I have given 110% to what I'm doing, like what I'm doing on stage, or what I'm doing for my shift on the radio, or what I'm presenting in my podcast. I can only know that I've given my all, and I have been true and honest and myself in whatever I'm presenting.
Okay, well, as time flies, we have 7 minutes left. As I pull back up both your slot, I want to just pull your website up so people can see it again. But as this is your journey, you're going to be a life coach, or I guess it is life coach, right? And you're gonna kill it, and you're gonna be awesome. What initial advice do you have to people as we open like Plato's cave out of the darkness into the light of spring and the COVID flattening out and the economy and everything back to normal? People who want to start new things but are afraid, and they've lived in stress for a year. What advice do you have to give to people who want to do new things and start a new journey now that we're allowed to step outside our houses soon? Not yet, soon. What advice do you have for them?
I think the first thing is you got to step outside of your comfort zone. As difficult as it may be, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone by getting into coaching, and like this is the first day that I've showed anyone my coaching page.
Yeah, on the
So,
Stigma-Free broadcast.
yeah,
How proud you must be, Andrew Paquette. Yes.
So yeah, and it's just when you push yourself outside of your comfort zone and try new things, even if they don't work out, you just learn so much about yourself, and you learn so much about just life, and you gain so much experience from it, and it's just nothing but positive things. And also, just a reminder for people to be kind to themselves, because what we've been talking about is silencing our inner critic, and stopping the negative thoughts about yourself and negative beliefs about yourself. Yeah, it's something that my therapist and my friends and my business coach tell me all the time is, be patient and be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great advice. And again, this is the webpage. I don't know why I keep on looking at the screen when it's like right in front of me. I'm so still not as good as those who actually do this for a living. And so, but this is the page. And, I love what you're saying here. No judgment, no drama, a safe space. And that's what really people need. And I challenge everyone to if you're not seeking out Vanessa, seek somebody, be accountable. But Vanessa is a good person for you to seek out too. Here's all her information. But as you can see, that she didn't just get here by herself. She had people along the way, and still has people along the way supporting her. And we all need somebody, right? And that's really what the Stigma-Free Society is about people walking alongside you as you fight through some of the troubles and struggles that you have. So, she covers grief management and loss, mental health, overall wellness, practical tips, why her coaching audio is awesome. See, I love that you speak with confidence on your page, and I think that people and can see that, and I look forward to sharing this all over the world for you as well. And I'm glad that you have the opportunity to share it with us. I also want to show your contact information as well, finally, as we end this. But I need a tech person. You guys have producers on the other side that do this. I'm just like trying to do this all by myself at a computer. But here's Vanessa's information as well. You can check her out on her webpage. You can go to her coaching site, of course, which we just showed. Her podcasts are awesome. Even if you're just driving, running. I listened to you while vacuuming last night, just so you know. Episode 19 was while vacuuming. And so I was, you can do lots of different Google Podcasts, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please check out her podcast as well. Lots of enlightening suggestions and advice for you. But also, that she's lived this journey herself. So she's not just randomly talking. And finally, my contact information, as I like to share all the time on these podcasts or these broadcast podcasts. I'm getting my words mixed up. My email address, my phone number, my Twitter, and also the blog, drdanielto.com. And of course, I work for the Surrey School District, and on these broadcasts speak on their behalf as well. If you need help during COVID, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like your mental health is not doing that well, please seek help. If you're a student listening to this, go see your school counselor. If you're an adult listening to this, go find some help. But I think that the province also has a dial-in number for you to seek in help. I believe it's actually 311. I don't fully remember that right now. Maddie, Andrea, on the chat, can you please put down the province's direct, I think it's like 911, but it's like a 311 or 411, I think, for mental health. You can put that in the comments so I don't look like I'm confused. That'd be great. But if you are needing help during this time, during a pandemic, please reach out for help. You are not alone. Vanessa has showed you that today. You're not alone. You're not walking by yourself. We are here with you, walking with you, Stigma-Free Society, folks in the Surrey School District, and of course, Coach Vanessa Chu. So are there any questions in the chat? I'm just going to go to the chat. I don't know if people have questions. Andrea, Maddie, do you see any questions on your end? I'm trying to do YouTube questions and Facebook at the same time, so I'm not sure what my screen is showing me, but it's showing me something. Are they still here? I see people viewing. They're probably still here. Yeah. Well, Vanessa, thank you. This is I appreciate you coming on. Again, I asked you last minute because I wanted someone authentic and great. And Andrea's right. She said that you're very authentic, and she even needs to, as a CEO of this organization, talk to herself and think of herself in the same way that people who love her think of her. So thank you for that. Final parting words to you, my special guest. 211. Thank you, Maddie. BC 211. Obviously, I was wrong with all of my numbers. BC 211 if you need help. So, Vanessa, final parting words to you as I find the music to play us out.
Thank you for having me again. I really appreciate it.
Okay, and with that, don't forget to check out Vanessa's coaching page, and also contact her anywhere you like, anytime you like, and make sure that you stay safe. Everybody, thank you for watching. From my phone, because I have no producer. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.